Hello class, and welcome to your lecture on the circle of fifths, or key signatures and how they relate to the circle of fifths. So we're going to start by talking about this concept of a fifth. And the easiest way to think about it is that when you have a scale, for example a major scale or a minor scale, doesn't matter, you have your pitches. For example, we'll look at C major. Here's our C major scale, from C all the way up to C. No sharps, no flats, but you can think of these as scale degrees. So we could label those with a 1, a 2, a 3, and so on. We use this little caret above them to indicate that they are scale degrees. And then your 1 repeats up here. Now as I look at it, I can see that I have my tonic, or my starting pitch, and then I have these other scale degrees. The circle of fifths is going to be referencing scale degree 5. Okay, so let me draw a little circle here, and we'll go ahead and create a circle of fifths and see if we can understand what's going on. Here's my circle, and I'm going to treat it like a clock face. Okay, I'm going to start with my C major at the top of the circle, and as I move to the right, or clockwise, I'm going to go in fifths. Okay. So from C to G, I get my first one, so G would be right there. Let's take a look at that scale. Well, G major, if I were to spell it out, I would get G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. And so you'll notice one note got changed between C major and G major, and that is T. So T has been erased, and the key signature for this would be 1 sharp or F sharp. Okay, so 1 sharp, and it is F. There we go. Now in this one, again, I can label each scale with its scale degrees. Oops, 4 and 5, like that. And again, I'm going to move up to the 5th one, scale degree 5, and that's going to give me my next key around the clock face. Let's take a look at how D major looks in relationship to G major. So we'll just go right here underneath my last scale. I have D, E. I'm going to keep F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Now again, you should have already done your homework with the major scales and be comfortable with these at this point. If you need to review that, I encourage you to go back to major scales and look at how we figure out the accidentals. In this case, we kept F sharp, but we added a new sharp. And again, it was that 7th scale degree, or T, which in this case is C sharp. So in this key, we have 2 sharps, and they are F sharp and C sharp. So if I go up to my clock face, C major has 0, sharps or flats. G has 1, sharp, and that is F sharp. D major has 2, and you can see that a pattern starting to emerge. If we follow that pattern, we'd assume that there'd be 3 sharps in our next key, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should be A major, and we'll go ahead and test that theory and see what happens. So here we are in A major. I'm going to think about it in terms of tetrachords, so this is just a little review from what you've already done so far. We have an A major tetrachord. A to B is 2, B to C sharp is 2, C sharp to D is 1. We link it with 2. E to F sharp is 2, and G sharp, F sharp to G sharp is 2, G sharp to A is 1. So you'll see that we kept those sharps that we already had, and we added T. So in other words, every single time in sharp keys, as we come around the circle, we add the note that's one semitone lower than the key we're in. So G sharp is our new one, and yes, we have 3 sharps, so that checks out. Our next key, 1, 2, 3, oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, your tonic has to be 1. Should be E major, and we'll assume that it's going to have 4 sharps. But let's take a look at the pattern of the sharps and see if we can maybe anticipate what this key looks like. So far we had F sharp, that was our first one, then F sharp and C sharp, and then F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. And if you look at the circle of fifths, our first sharp was F, which I don't see on here, but then C sharp and G sharp came. And the sharps are starting to move in this pattern as well. And so my guess is that my next one would be D sharp. And it should be. It's a half step below E. So in E major, I'm making a guess that I'm going to have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. Again, this is assuming that you don't already know your keys and you're building them for the first time. So let's take a look at that and see what it looks like. Okay, so we had E. F sharp, we knew we already had that one. G sharp, we knew we already had that one. A, B, C sharp we already had, so we kept all of those, and then like we did in the past, we're going to raise that 7th scale degree, which in this case is D sharp. So the new sharp is always that leading tone, but the other thing that we're noticing is that it also follows the circle of fifths, or the order of sharps follows the circle. Our next key would be B, and it looks like I'm getting a little bit crowded here, so I'm going to start a new circle on another page and fill it out a little bit cleaner.